challenging these decisions, to some extent took us by surprise when it happened, and we weren't as prepared as we should have been. And the reason I admit that is partly for the reasons that Jim has talked about, was that we didn't just want to help people with the process. We wanted to listen to them when they wanted to talk to us about their anxieties and how the process was making them feel, and how people like Jim were saying to us, you know, actually, I can't think straight. I don't know what I've done wrong. And we wanted to take the time to say to people, you have done nothing wrong. It also took us by surprise because it felt so brutal. And the brutal impact, I think, was really because of the double whammy. At the same time that we had a system that seemed to forget that people were humans and entitled to live with dignity, legal aid was also decimated, denying people the right to fight back. And for me, at that time, it was frightening to live through what was being justified as a cost-saving exercise. So for me, being in this room today, I am really glad we have come back to talking about people that Ruth and Emma and Marsha have talked about in their constituencies, and the stories that Jim has told us. But also, it's really heartening to see the language of rights, compassion, dignity coming back into the conversation. We constantly remind people who come to use our services that it is not their fault. And we do that whilst we hand out food vouchers, whilst we give them emergency cash, and we try and help them to hold their nerve. We talk to them, we work with them, whilst we also try to challenge the DWP. But we also fought back against the double whammy cuts in our own way. We set up our own tribunals project. We decided that we wanted to help more and more people get to tribunal. And we've been able to do that by using corporate lawyers who are working for us pro bono. And we rely heavily on that. And through that process, we've been able to take 400 to 500 people a year to tribunal, and as Marsha says, our success rate has been at least 90%. In some months, it's actually 100%. So we are really pleased that Labour has made the announcement it has about an army of lawyers, about more money for law centres. I actually used to run a law centre myself, and so I really understand the importance of using the legal system as a way of challenging injustice, as we have seen this morning. I absolutely understand that. But equally, running a charity like Z2K, what I've also understand is that people need to be listened to, people need to be empowered, and exercising legal rights on its own isn't enough, that it is about making sure that there is investment into advice, which is about helping people to make decisions about their lives. As Jim said, once you find yourself in a downward spiral of not having any money, getting back out of that and getting back to being a part of the community takes time. And so we want to ensure that any conversations that we might be having with Marsha and with the Labour Party about reinvigorating legal aid also remembers that legal aid in itself needs to use the language of compassion and dignity as well. We know that from our work, helping people to feel better and feeling strong is really important. And we're really pleased, going back to the actual benefits process itself, away from the legal process, we're really pleased that Labour has, and Jeremy Corbyn has, criticised the DWP for the assessment process. And we're really pleased that Marsha has talked about wanting to put an end to that assessment process as well. The assessment process needs to fundamentally change. At the heart of it needs to be a commitment to actually listening to people and believing people. The problem with not believing people, of course, is that to then not believe them is resource heavy, right? Because you're relying on GPs, you're relying on people not taking you to tribunal, and obviously we now are hearing quite a lot from GPs who are saying to us, well, this is blocking up our surgeries, this isn't what we should be dealing with as well. And equally, as a sector, we also don't want to be helping people with their basic human rights. We want to be enhancing rights. We want to be helping people to live dignified lives, not just working at that sort of basic end. So that sort of listening is really important. Also, for us, we have campaigns a lot on the mandatory reconsideration, which needs to be seriously improved. It needs to be more transparent. Ruth has already talked about videoing in the assessment process. A number of clients we spoke to wouldn't necessarily want to be videoed because it is such an adversarial process. Actually, they just don't trust why they might be videoed. But I think it is really, we think it's really important that recording is still pushed for, and at Z2K we would be equally happy if that recording was a verbal recording rather than a video recording. So just to kind of pull this together a little bit, we have been working in our own way to build a community of people who are as outraged as we are. That's people that we help on a day-to-day basis. That's the people, that's their friends and families, their communities who are as equally as outraged as the people we help. That's the corporate lawyers who are working with us pro bono to take these cases to court and are absolutely shocked. They would have no idea normally how people are being treated. It's GPs, it's the medical professionals who phone us up when they hear about our campaign, see us on social media. We'll get calls saying, thank you so much for doing this, because this is a real pressure to the medical profession. Journalists, politicians, others in our sector, anything we can do to keep bringing people together. And as Marsha said, that's why I'm really grateful to all of you for coming to this event today. So thank you.